Assalamu alaikum. To Reverend Dr. Jim Holly and to all of our distinguished guests and clergy and political leadership, I don't want to be long. I want to thank Reverend Holly and my good friend and brother Art Blackwell for working to ensure that this message could be heard live over WGPR. We want to give them a hand. Brothers and sisters, I want to make sure that over the airwaves of WGPR, a voice can be heard that needs to be heard in this hour in the city of Detroit. I would simply say to you that there are times in history where individuals make individual choices that connect to the collective outcome. This is one of those hours where as an individual, you will connect to a collective outcome that will speak to future generations as to whether you were awake or asleep at the wheel. This is that kind of hour. There are those who said, as recent as yesterday in a radio interview, why are they bringing outsiders into the city of Detroit to determine the outcome of an election? And my answer to the brother who made that point is, it's because someone comes from outside doesn't mean they don't understand the condition on the inside. And please don't insult the intelligence of those who live on the inside as to whether they can distinguish for themselves. The so-called outsider speaks to their needs. But the man that's about to come before you is not an outsider. He is absolutely in the hearts of Black America. I want you to rise with me and receive the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give him praise and thanks always for his goodness and his mercy to the human family. We thank him for all of his prophets and the scriptures which they brought. We thank him for Moses and the Torah. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel. We thank him for Muhammad and the Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Almighty God. I am a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I could never thank Allah enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, who came among us in the city of Detroit 75 years ago and taught in this city and was driven out of this city, but he raised one in this city who would be the founder of the Nation of Islam, and that one of whom I speak is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. To Reverend Dr. Jim Holly, to Minister Dawood, to Congressman Conyers, to my dear and esteemed brother, Reverend Wendell Anthony, to Mr. Blackwell, and to all of the distinguished persons on the dais, some whose names I don't know, please forgive me. But to all of you, I am honored to be here tonight at this rally on behalf of our brother, the Mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick. I want to thank all of the brothers and sisters in Detroit who made the Millions More movement beginning successful, and I personally owe a debt of gratitude to the Reverend Wendell Anthony. The success of the Millions More movement will never be what it could be without his voice. And I want to thank Congressman Conyers and all of those who made the beginning of a movement successful. What we envision, brothers and sisters, is that the talented 10th that W.E.B. Du Bois talked about, the brilliant brothers and sisters, the degreed brothers and sisters, the knowledgeable brothers and sisters, most of whom have been separated from the condition of the mass poor. Yeah. The learned of our people are given oftentimes jobs, positions, and money, which allows the learned to live a better quality of life. But this is part of a design to make us satisfied with the false fruit of democracy. And make us to think that we have arrived while the masses of our people suffer in an incredible degree of poverty in the midst of plenty. So the Millions More movement was designed to bring the learned of our people into harmony with the needs of our people through a program that allows them to use their tremendous skill to lift the masses of our people. That's the whole idea of a movement, but it is also to organize black people in an effective way so that we will not make demands and go away saying, well, we told them. You sure told them, brother. We are tired of just telling them.
Yes, sir.
We want to tell them and then make them respond to what we tell them. And the only way that an immoral government, and I'm going to stress this again, the only way that an immoral government, and the government has to be immoral if it does not care for the little man. It has to be immoral if it does not look after the weak and the poor. Then it cannot hold on to the name of Jesus Christ and then be adverse to the very principles that Jesus taught. The very yardstick by which nations are judged is laid down by Jesus in these words. He asked his disciples, or the disciples asked him, Master, when were you hungry?
Yes.
And we fed you not?
Yes.
When were you naked and we clothed you not?
Yes.
When were you out of doors and we gave you not shelter? When were you sick and imprisoned and we ministered not unto you?
Yes, sir.
And Jesus said, inasmuch as you have not done these things unto the least of these my brethren,
Yes, sir.
you have not done it also unto me.
Yeah.
And this is why at Mother Rosa Parks' celebration of her going home and her victory in life, I said, Mother Parks, according to what President Clinton said, made America better.
Yeah.
But I said she's not yet good.
Yes, sir.
America can't be considered good if she leads the world in drunkenness.
Yes, sir.
She leads the world in drug addiction.
Yeah.
She leads the world in murder, in robbery, in rape, in assault. She leads the world in incarceration of those that she calls her citizens. 15 million Americans are homeless. 45 million don't have adequate health care. And if you don't have money or insurance and you get sick, only God then can step in and take care of you, because hospitals may turn you out. And some of our elderly that are listening by radio or in this audience sometimes have to decide whether you will pay for your prescription drugs or get a decent quality of food to put on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a good America.
Yeah.
She leads the world in selling arms that deal death all over the planet. Somebody needs to make America good. Because the only way that America will survive, she's already great. She just needs to be made good.
Yeah.
And she can't be made good if those of us who are in leadership
Yes, sir.
compromise for inclusion and acceptance. Pharaoh was so upset because the children of Israel were paying attention to Moses and Aaron. So he called all of his magicians.
Yeah.
And he promised them two things: wealth and nearness to him. There's something about a slave mentality.
Yeah.
That a slave always wants to be near his master. He doesn't feel as though he's making progress unless the master rubs his head and pats him on his head and tells him, "You're being a good boy, you're being a good boy."
Preach, minister.
So when you promise the magicians wealth to oppose Moses and Aaron and the true liberation struggle of the people, and you say you can have wealth and you can have nearness to me, it will take a very good shepherd to turn that offer down.
Yeah.
And for the few moments that I'm going to be in front of you, I thought I would like to give a sobering kind of message on the eve of the election.
Yeah.
In my opinion, why we should turn out to vote for Brother Kwame Kilpatrick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not just the fact that he's a black brother, because there are many black people that don't deserve your vote just because of their color. we've tried that before. We get enamored over people because they look like us. We send them away and they forget who sent them. But I wanted to share a few points with you tonight that I want you to just think about tonight, and then tomorrow get up energized to go on and bring our brother back for 4 more years to serve Detroit.
Yes, sir.
Now, I wonder sometimes when we say we're Christians, do we really understand the majesty of Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Now, Farrakhan.
Preach, brother, preach.
See, people get confused when I start talking. Because they say, is he a Muslim? Or is he a Christian? What is he? That's my point. See, if you tell the truth, you break down false barriers that break righteous people apart. So if you can't tell what I am, that's because I am all that you think I am and then some. When I finished speaking at Mother Rosa Parks' victory celebration, the Reverend Joe Lowry shook my hand. He said, "You is a schizophrenic preacher." He said, "I don't know whether you's a Christian or Muslim." I said, "That's my point. I want to destroy the lines of division between the people of God." And if we are immersed in the real Word of God, the Word that kisses each other, then the people that believe in the Word should be able to embrace and kiss each other in the bond of brotherly love. So tonight, I wanted to talk about Jesus as a guiding light for everyone who wishes to be a public servant.
Yeah. Yeah. Preach on it.
Jesus' life should be studied from many different angles, because the Jesus that I believe in from the scriptures of the Bible was a true revolutionary. Now wait now before you get excited. He said he was in the world, but he was not of the world. There's something about the world that Jesus didn't want to spoil his garment. And there's something about being in politics and in religion and being in leadership in America that you have to be very careful that your garments are not soiled with worldly desires that Satan can always fulfill. Because Satan does not like people who want to serve the best interests of the poor. Wait, I want you to just, no, think, because I'm going to run it tonight. Now, Jesus is an example of a man who truly came to serve. And we shouldn't want public office to be big shots.
Yeah.
We want public office so we can serve.
Yeah.
For Jesus said, he who would be great among you, let him be your servant. A servant, if you go to a restaurant and somebody come around the table with a haughty spirit. Yeah, can I help? Well, I'll be back in a few minutes. Get your mind together and tell me what you want. You out of that restaurant. I ain't coming back there no more. Tip, you might get hit. My point, a servant serves the needs of the people. So when Jesus met a person who was lame, he served that need.
Yeah.
Pick up your bed, buddy.
Yeah.
And walk.
Yeah.
He met a man blind. Well, he knew that the man was blind. The thing that he needed was to see again. The point is, the people have needs.
Yes, sir.
And those of us in service are only as good as we can use our power to provide the needs of those whom we serve.
Yeah.
Now, history teaches us that whenever a good servant comes along, Satan is upset.
Yeah.
And these are some of his tricks. Say, now, this guy, Jesus, he's really disturbing our house.
Yeah.
You don't want to join our licentious feast. He's telling his followers to look on the coin, whose face is on it. Well, if it's Caesar's, give him what belonged to him, and unto God what belongs to God. Well, who belongs to God? Since Caesar didn't create life, then you don't belong to the ruling powers. You belong to him who created you and gave you life.
Yeah.
So Jesus wasn't about to bow down to the forces that ruled the Roman Empire. He respected authority, but he would not bow down to do their will.
Yeah.
Listen. The reason I'm talking about ancient Rome is because if all you can do in church is to get in a time machine and go backward, but don't see how backward impacts on what is going on today, then you need new theological training. Because what was is what is.
Yeah.
Jesus' followers, they didn't join the Roman army. He didn't like the slavery of the Romans. They had voting, they had Senate. But Jesus' kingdom was not of this world.
Yeah.
But then there's a scripture that says the kingdoms of this world has become
the kingdom of our God and of his Christ. Well, then it means that it's looking for righteous people to inhabit high office so that they can fight against what Paul said, the principalities, the powers, the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness that's up in high places. If you're going to bow down to that, then you become that. So you're not only in the world, you are of the world. Then you're no more good to lead us. Because you've compromised who you are for inclusion, for a seat at the master's table where he can give you some of the crumbs, not even a slice, but crumbs. So the master, when he's troubled by somebody that ain't bowing, he first says, let me try him. Let me see what I can give him that I hear that he needs, to see if I can get him to come along with me before I do something else to him. So then they call him in. Now, Jesus, come here. Come on up here. Come on, come on. And he takes him up on the mountain. Look at all those cities out there. Why, they belong to me. You say you a king, I don't see no kingdom, but if you bow down to me, I give you this. See? He's testing him.
Yes.
All of us in public office, all of us in leadership have to be tested by Satan.
Yes.
He sifts you to see what it is you want that he can give you to make you bow down. And when you bow down, he says, he's mine.
Yes.
I was in Philadelphia when Mayor Rendell, who is now the governor of Pennsylvania, was the mayor of Philadelphia, and there was about to be a riot. And my minister there was going to go into the white neighborhood and whatnot. I said, brother, don't do that. I said, because we don't teach turn the other cheek. So if you go in there and somebody don't like the fact that you are there and strike at you, you know you ain't nonviolent. So why are you going to put yourself and others in that position? So they had a rally and I came to speak, and the mayor met me, Mayor Rendell, governor now. He said, Minister Farrakhan, and in the next room was all these preachers. He said, all of those belong to me. He said, but your minister, I have the greatest respect for him, because when I asked him, what do you want? He said, all I want is justice for my people. Now, the mayor was not prepared to give him that, but he'll give Negroes trinkets, buy you off with little small things so you can give up on the big thing, which is the liberation of your people. Watch the principle now. Jesus said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Satan upset. What? I offered this chunk all them cities, and he not bowing to me? All right. We'll draw the line in the sand then. Let me sift his followers, see if I can find somebody close who will betray him. Let me see if I can tap the envy of the Jewish priesthood. Since he comes saying he didn't come to change the law, but he was doing things a little different than the way the rabbis were doing it. Let's see if we can instill and feed the envy of the rabbis so that they will turn on him. Let's see if we can lie about his many good accomplishments and make them look ugly and vile by saying he did them by the power of the devil. Let's turn public opinion against him. We have control of the media. We have control of the Detroit Free Press. We have control of the TV. Turn up the heat on him, since he's not going to bow down. And then Pontius Pilate, he always is very slick. He washes his hands of the matter because he knows this is a good man. He's just troublesome to me, that's all. But then you have to choose between the good man and a thief. No. Oh, no. Any resemblance to any persons living or dead. It's just a coincidence. Here's Barabbas, a known crook.
Yes, sir.
Jesus, a holy man. It said, choose between the crook and this holy man. Give us Barabbas and turn down a good man, because public opinion had been turned against the good man, and a betrayer had come out from among his disciples. And then those that were supposed to stand with him in his hour of trial, they ran away. Wouldn't go to the court.
Yes,
Tomorrow it's like not going to the poll.
yeah.
Now I want you to watch how this pattern, see, what Jesus exemplified was the pattern of all those who stand for the weak and the poor. Now watch how this goes. I'll start in Africa. Ghana becomes quote unquote free. Kwame Nkrumah, a man for the masses. Western government does not like him. Overthrow him while he's on a trip to China until you put your man in that will allow you access to the raw materials of what was formerly called the Gold Coast. Patrice Lumumba, a man for the masses, a A man who loved his people but would not bow down to the Western power. They assassinated him. And then they put Kasavubu and what's the guy name? We visited him in Zaire. Mobutu. And Mobutu did everything that the West wanted. And in the last days of his life, we visited him. And he was grieving because America, that he had done her wishes, kicked him to the curb. This is a sign for all those who bow down. When Satan gets finished using you, he turns you over to those that would destroy you.
Yeah.
Samora Machel, Nelson Mandela. Oh, he's a patron saint now. But in those days, he was mocked with the label terrorist. Because he wouldn't bow down. Do you follow me? Fidel Castro arises in Cuba. He takes land from the rich and he gives it to the poor. He has an illiterate country, but now all of them can read and write. He has homeless people, but everybody in Cuba has a home now. Free education, free health care, but America don't like him. Because he was good for the people. Look at the man in Venezuela. Hugo Chavez, a man from the ranks of the poor, not willing to give away the wealth of the people of Venezuela to those who want to suck the blood of the poor. So he becomes troublesome to America. And the CIA organizes a coup against him. Can't control him, so we must get rid of him. And then a so-called religious man says, well, we should take him out. Assassinate him. Because when you are not going to be their boy, they must destroy you. Now let's bring it home here. Call the roll. What did you think of Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey? What did you think of W.E.B. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass and David Walker and Sojourner Truth? See, these people became heroines and heroes to us long after they were dead. But while they were living, their contemporaries were made to see them as something negative.
Yes, sir.
We stoned Paul Robeson because they said he was a communist. But after his death, we can learn he was a man that loved us. Marcus Garvey, a good man, but he wouldn't bow. Trumped up charges on him, jailed him, deported him. Now we can say Marcus Garvey, a great man, but his contemporaries didn't think much of such a great man. Adam Clayton Powell, That man passed more legislation in Congress. I don't know how he did it, but he was a bold, light-skinned black man. Kind of braggadocious life. Wasn't no back-scratching, knee-bending Negro. He fought. So they found a bag woman. Put it all in the papers. He's down in Bimini with a beautiful woman. Wouldn't you like to be down there too? But the point is, anything they could use to turn public opinion against him. Now, when they don't like you, and you're in a black district, they always try to find another black person. Wait now. Another black person who may be sincere. They want to be a big shot. But the powers say, yeah, I'll make you a big shot. I want that Negro out of office. But before you get in, let me see you genuflect. And if you bow down right, I'll put money behind your candidacy so you can bring down a good man. But he's not good for us, he's good for them. Do you hear me? Now I'm coming real modern time now.
Come on in now.
I live in Chicago. Second city to Detroit, of course. But I live in Chicago, and my congressman was a man named Gus Savage. Gus was a warrior. All of us that are warriors, we have little problems, and of course they sift us. What can we find out about the good man that we can use to bring him down? And I remember they invited me to a penthouse. I'm not going to call the name of the black brother that invited me. And in that penthouse, there was the man that was to replace my congressperson. And they started talking, oh yeah, you know, he drinks a lot and blah, 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 blah. But he's always been consistent, voting for what is in the best interest of our people. And when I was accused of being an anti-Semite, he stood and defended me, and those that saw him defend me said, we got to get rid of him. So they put money behind a black man who was a Rhodes Scholar to replace Gus Savage. He tried once and failed. He tried the second time and failed. But on the third try, he won. Gus was out, and Mel Reynolds was in, but then he got carried away with his office and kept a big, powerful man outside his office door from Chicago waiting a long while. And the next thing we know, he was up on charges. And the next thing we know, he was in prison. But they got rid of the man that they didn't like. Now, I was just in Memphis, Tennessee. with Mayor Harrington. I didn't ask for this. I had a meeting with the leaders of the city. The mayor came out, and the mayor wanted to say something, and he got up to speak, and he said, Minister Farrakhan, you may not know this, but when you were here a few years ago, I gave you the key to the city.
Listen.
And a few days later, I was called to a meeting. And some of the rich and powerful that were at that meeting told me that I had to go and get that key back. It was an insult to them that I should get a key to the city that they run behind the scenes. They big money people. Mayor told him, I will do no such thing. He stood his ground. He'd been returned to office 4 times, and he's trying to decide whether he should run for the 5th time. Strength, character. Cynthia McKinney, our brother Hilliard from Alabama. These are black people fighting for black people, but they angered some white folk. They put money behind a black candidate and took Cynthia McKinney out of office and turned Congressman Hilliard out of office because they didn't like his politics, and their politics was the politics of the poor. And they couldn't quite get to Coleman Young. Coleman knew how to play the game. So naturally, if you can't get to the old man, you look for some of the disciples. If I can turn the next one, I can get it back. That's the way they think. Now, Brother Kwame, see, I looked at the pitiful ads that he has on TV. And I said, oh, poor fella. I said, he don't have a lot of money behind him. You could tell. Because if he had a lot of money behind him, every few minutes you'd see on the TV, get back out and vote for a man that did this, did that, did. But not Kwame. See, you know why Kwame don't have money? Because he's your man. He's our man. He will not bow down to the powers. And that's why they don't want him again. And that's why we must go and send him back. And help him to fulfill his vision for the city. What I've tried to show you is the path of those who would serve the poor. See, the stuff that they're saying, you know, he used a credit card for this. He gave his cousin a tuxedo. I mean, it was on loan, you know. He didn't buy it for him. See, these are people that strain at a gnat and swallow a camel, and what they're after is the budget of this city turned back into the hands of the few. But this city is 86% black
And the budget belongs to the masses. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want you to answer me truthfully. Has the Detroit Free Press been fair? Oh, wait. I want them to hear you. Has the Detroit Free Press been fair in this? Well, look, wait. 86% of the people of this city are black. So the people that buy that paper, wait. Now it seemed to me that Mother Rosa was on a mostly black riding bus line. And she was being insulted.
Yeah, bring it, brother minister.
And she said, well, I just am not going to take this. Then the civil rights leaders said, well, we won't ride that bus. We won't ride that bus until they show some respect for us. I'm not saying that this is what you should do. But if you don't like the way the Detroit Free Press talks about black people, then why buy the damn paper? Shut it down! Let the Michigan Chronicle step up. Naturally, they're going to put your picture on the front page. The Michigan Citizen. All the black papers. I'm not saying that you should do this. But hell, let's make an example of somebody so that they'll know that we mean business in Detroit. And look, let's say for 30 to 90 days, we don't buy it. I'm not telling you not to. But if you decide, then maybe your leaders go sit down with their editorial board at the end of the time and tell them what you don't like about how they represent us. And there gotta be a change, or you're out of business in Detroit. You say, well, you put a lot of Negroes out of work. Well, most Negroes in Detroit are out of work anyway. So, brothers and sisters, I think I've done my job. But I would like us to force them to respect us. And when they attack our leaders in the way that they have done, we ought to make them pay a price. Here he is, the mayor of the city.
Detroit, brothers and sisters, wow. I didn't get a chance to hear the minister. We've been at plant gates and walking through plants and trying to get out there and get votes and get people out tomorrow and shopping centers. But from the looks of this room and the spirit that's raising in this room, I think the minister might have went a little old school tonight. First, before I say anything, can we just please thank Minister Farrakhan for being here tonight? I also want to thank next the Supreme Captain of the Nation of Islam, Mustafa Farrakhan. And let me just say this before we go off the air, because I know there are people listening and we only have 30, 45 seconds. Tomorrow, they're going to twist and turn what happened here. I don't know what was said, but I'm telling you, they're going to twist and turn what happened here. And what we need is every person here to be a soldier out there tomorrow. The last time the minister came to the city of Detroit, I gave him the key to the city in the council chamber. When I handed him the key to the city, I walked back to my office. There were already 10 phone calls of people saying, how could you do such a thing? And you know, if you don't stand for something, if you don't stand up for the people that stand up for you, if you don't love your own brothers, if you don't stand up for the people who've been working in the vineyard, killing themselves for us all of these years, then we've already lost way more than an election. They can't tell me who to love. Because as sure as I'm standing here, if one of us were to fall, if one of us were to get hurt, if one of us was under serious attack, Minister Farrakhan would stand up for us. And I'm going to say this, Minister. I met with the minister, and the minister said, you have to do what you have to do. I know there are some people who think that I'm controversial. And he said, you have to do what you have to do. But I need to tell you this in front of my people here in the city of Detroit and your family. We love you, brother. thing I have to say, because I'm almost voiceless, but you know, we got to get up tomorrow. Because I remember in the funeral when Reverend Joseph Lowry said it's time to turn ceremony into sacrament. And we all have been spirit-filled tonight. Something happened to us tonight that is now going to allow us to transform our condition and transcend our condition here in the city of Detroit. But it takes a short walk to the ballot box. I'm not asking you to just do this for Kwame Kilpatrick, for this race is not just about Kwame Kilpatrick. This is about your children and your grandchildren and what kind of Detroit we will have over the next few years. And so tomorrow, just like you would do in the family reunion, just like you would do for the family picnic, just like you would do if something happened to your cousin and them, we need everybody on the phone tomorrow. We need everybody in their cars going to pick somebody up tomorrow. Because I want y'all to blow their minds tomorrow. I just heard on the radio on the way in here that the expectation of people to come out and vote between the ages of 18 and 40 is about 4 to 8%. 4 to 8%. I said, wow, I started smiling as soon as I heard that, because they don't know what kind of revolutionary spirit is building in the city of Detroit. And what I have to say about that is that we can build buildings and build houses and pave streets, but our city will truly never be the place that God intended for it to be until people change on the inside. And what's happening in this election, and I'm just thankful that God is using me right now. What's happening in this election is there's a spiritual rebirth and a spiritual renewal going on in the city of Detroit. People are starting to stand up again and say, yeah, I'm from Detroit. I'm from the west side, I'm from the east side, I'm from southwest Detroit. People are starting to say that our children can be anything that they want to be. People are starting to say that we have dynamism right here in our city. And when we do $2 billion of development, when we do $2 billion, the first contract from that went to Bernard White, a Detroit African-American business. When we do DBA development, 73% of that went to African-American companies. I'm in trouble right now, because I want to make sure that the people in this community, when Detroit comes back, Detroiters are involved in that comeback. And so I say to you, my brothers and my sisters, and I see Elaine Steele. Oh, Elaine Steele, thank you so much for what you did. Thank you so much, Elaine. Elaine Steele is the caregiver of Mother Parks, who took care of her. And Elaine, please stand up. Can y'all give Elaine, please, a big hand? And as I close, because I know y'all already fired up from the minister, I don't want to get in the way of that worship. It's time to turn ceremony into sacrament. It's time to leave here and go out tomorrow and talk to our neighbors. It's time to smile at our brothers and sisters and tell them that there's something going on. A movement has been created. It's time to go to the polls and vote like your lives depended on it. This is an opportunity for you to look at the media, for you to look at anybody else and say, we control what goes on in the city of Detroit. And so I say to my brothers and my sisters, first of all, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I say thank you for trusting us. Thank you for praying for us. Thank you for standing by us. Thank you for working with us through all our ups and our downs, our failures and our successes. Thank you for praying for my mother and my father. Thank you for praying for my wife and my big-head little boys. Thank you for continuing to stand with the brother that you raised. You didn't raise a perfect man, but you raised one of God's best. And tomorrow we show them. Tomorrow we show ourselves Tomorrow we show the world because the whole country is watching this race. The whole country is watching this race. Tom Joyner said this morning, this is the most important race in politics in America. Everybody is watching the city of Detroit. And so we have the opportunity one more time to set the world straight, to make sure that they understand that, like Reverend Anthony says, all roads lead to Detroit. God bless you, and let's rise up.
Four more years. 4 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 more years.
4 more years. My brothers and my sisters, very quickly, you know tomorrow's election day, and you know what the mayor said. He said some kind of way they're going to find a way to twist this. But you know who comes on the first thing in the morning when the sun rises? Me. So you hear me at 7 a.m. They won't be twisting nothing tomorrow. Let's give the Minister Farrakhan a big hand. Let's give Reverend Dr. Jim Holly for opening his doors up a big hand. And let's give the mayor and the next mayor of the city of Detroit a big hand. We're going to have the pastor from Oak Grove come up and give the benediction.
Let us have the benediction. Now to him who is able to keep us and present us faultlessly before his throne with exceeding joy, to the only wise God, our Savior, be power, dominion, majesty, now, henceforth, and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, just 1 minute, please. These 3 young ladies, they came to sing. They just want to do one little short a cappella. I want you to encourage them. I forgot them, counted to my head and not to my heart. But I don't want you to leave this place. If anybody try to leave, snatch them right back, and don't you dare do that. These are our future. This is what the mayor is all about, is the future of Detroit. Give them a big hand.
Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Oh, why should my heart